quickly. Visit any StarTimes outlet around you to recharge or buy your decoder between June 12th to Yay! Let the celebration begin! StarTimes. Entertain your family.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Lighthouse Chats. So last week we looked at the issues around criminal justice system in Plateau State and Nigeria, as well as the need for the judicial arm to leverage on technology to enhance quick dispensation of justice. However, this topic was not completely exhausted. For this reason, today we have a part 2 of the discussion on the same topic, with focus on strengthening and scaling reforms targeting service delivery within criminal justice institutions in Nigeria, with the aim of improving quick dispensation of justice through modern technology. This and more will be our focus on Lighthouse Chat this evening. I am Priscilla Grumnan, but this discussion will take place after the news of the day. Peace is a prerequisite for meaningful development and should be embraced by all and sundry. This message came to fore at the Plateau Leadership and Peace Building Summit 2024 held in Jos. Nanlep Kumle reports.
Organized by the Women in Leadership Initiative, Really Africa, the Plateau Leadership and Peace Building Summit 2024, which had as theme Leadership Strategies for Sustainable and Economic Development, brought participants from both the private and public sectors. Executive Director of Really Africa stressed the need for communities to embrace change, urging all citizens to embrace peace to be the center of every meaningful and sustainable development.
We had the online Peace Building Summit, which was done online last year, to be brought live and in the Plateau because it is timely and needed with regards to leadership and peace building and peaceful coexistence.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who was represented by the DG Plateau State Peace Building Agency, echoed the need for all citizens to be peace ambassadors.
It's a part of life, but it is when it becomes violent conflict and intractable conflict that it is a problem. We will rebuild this plateau, and plateau will answer to its name of peace and tourism, which it already is. So we're saving lives, we're rebuilding lives, and we're also looking at livelihoods and therefore economic prosperity.
The summit saw speaker after speaker taking turns to speak on various topics ranging from economic prosperity of Plateau State, inclusive leadership and community development, and benefits of technology as a tool for diplomacy, among others.
It is one thing to put a legal framework in place. It is equally another thing to ensure that that legal framework is functional.
As leaders of tomorrow, we should take care of our own economies. We should not depend on somebody else's economy.
We are saying that technology is not merely that, it has a lot to do with change. As leaders, it is our responsibility to harness this power for the greater good for our communities.
Development of a community is development of individuals, families, and all other members within the community.
Participants bear their minds on the benefits of attending the summit.
Speakers have talked extensively about leadership. I'm very impressed.
This is something that will not only build peace in Plateau State, but it will build other sectors.
The event ended with a panel discussion as well as question and answer session. In Jos, Nanlep Kumle, NTA News.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has described the death of the All Progressives Congress APC spokesman Sylvanus Namang as a colossal loss to Plateau State, Nigeria, and beyond. In a tribute at the funeral service of the deceased at Kokin, Gigiring, the governor prayed that Namang's death will unite the Plateau people and provide individuals the opportunity to re-examine their lives and reconcile with the Almighty God and fellow citizens.
Said Nama was a peace-loving and patriotic citizen who dedicated his life to the service of God and humanity, and urged the people of Plateau State to emulate his virtue and shun violence and hatred. Governor Mutfwang called for thorough investigation into the tragic death of the late Sylvanus Namang to bring the perpetrators of the dastardly acts to justice. He said his administration will not tolerate any form of insecurity and lawlessness in the state and will work with the security agencies to ensure that the culprits are apprehended and prosecuted. Governor Mutfwang cautioned against the politicization of the death of Namang and said what the family needs at this moment is comfort, which can only come from God. He added that Namang's death had created a void that would be difficult to fill, and prayed to God to comfort the immediate family, the Mogavul nation, and the entire people of Plateau State. He also expressed regret over the death of the former member of the House of Assembly, Sunday Malo Muchen, who was killed recently by gunmen in Bokos local government area. Tribute also came from the former governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, the wife and family of the deceased, Kefi All Students Association, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Boys Brigade Nigeria, APC Plateau State, Mogavul Development Association, University of Jos Alumni, and the representative of Mishkakan Mogavul, who also described late Namang as a man of integrity who feared God in his dealings. They also called for justice and peace in the state.
Lighthouse Chat returns shortly after this break. Stay with us.
Nta Network Center Jos invites the general public to its 13th annual Ramadan lecture for the year 2024, equivalent to 1445 after Hijrat, with a theme, Islamic approaches to solving today's socio-economic challenges. The event will be chaired by Makaman Jos North, Alhaji Sani Muazu, a community leader and a popular Nollywood actor. Special guest of honor, the Executive Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Barrister Kelembana Semutfuan. Royal Fathers of the Day, His Royal Majesty Bongom Jos, Da Jacob Gembuba, Chairman Plateau State Traditional Council of Chiefs, Emir of Wase, His Royal Highness Muhammad Samba Haruna II, and Chairman Jamaatul Nasr Islam Plateau State. Mother of the Day, Dr. Sumaya Fatimata Hamza, retired Permanent Secretary and former National Naibatul Amira. Guest lecturer, Engineer Yakubi Isa Al-Jassawi, a senior lecturer with the Department of Electrical Engineering, Federal Polytechnic Bauchi. Chief host, Director General Nigerian Television Authority, Comrade Abdul Hamid Dembos. Host, Zonal Director, Nta Network Center Jos, Mrs. Rifkatu Daniel. The lecture is scheduled to take place on Sunday, 10th of March 2024 at the premises of Nta Network Center Jos by 10 a.m. Eminent Islamic scholars from various Islamic groups, corporate bodies and well-meaning Nigerians are expected to grace the occasion. May Allah bless you as you come. Announcer Hajia Mariam Ibrahim, Deputy Director Admin and Training, Chairperson Organizing Committee. Ramadan Kareem. Ramadan ya Ramadan ya nafha.
And welcome back. So back to our discussion proper. This evening I have a gentleman and lady who were also with us last week to share their views on the topic, which is access to quick dispensation of justice. By my right is Barrister Izang Awari. He is the chairman, Nigerian Bar Association Jos Branch. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Bismillah, good evening. Good evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be with you again this evening.
And by my far right is Barrister Linda Dazi. She is the State Program Manager, Public and Private Development Center, Jos.
Good evening.
You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
We are glad to have you both in the studio. Now, can you, Barrister Awari, can you refresh our minds back on what we discussed last week on the topic, access to quick dispensation of justice, and what is the criminal justice system?
Okay, the criminal justice system, like we said last week, is a conglomeration of the workings of the police, the courts, and the correctional service centers in Nigeria now called the Nigeria Correctional Service. And that is a gamut of the working of the criminal justice system. And then we're talking about the quick dispensation of justice. We are talking about putting in place mechanisms that will fast track the hearing of criminal cases rather, on the plateau and generally in Nigeria. We underscored the fact that we have PPDC, which is called Public and Private Development Center, which has helped a great deal in fast-tracking the processes of hearing criminal matters within the time that are supposed to be had. Because if these matters prolong, it will amount to punishing the defenders before they are found guilty or they are acquitted. And so whichever way that it goes, if the trial delays and the person is incarceration, you see his right at the end of the day is affected. So it's against human rights rules. And so we underscore the fact that PPDC has really helped by introducing technology-based hearings. Speech-to-text has been introduced in our courts, not just in the high courts, but also they have also done something to affect the magistrate courts. So, but for now, it is taking off on the plateau.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk about the role of technology in dispensation of justice. Do you have any new thing to add to us?
Not new, just to further expatiate what my chairman said. So when you talk about access to justice, it's a two-way thing. You know, people, there is a narrow perspective to it, which is your ability to just appear in court, you know, which is also an access to justice. But on a wider sense, which I think is more applicable in the context of our conversation this evening, it's the ability to navigate the justice process and come out at the end of the day with your rights intact. You know, because a lot happens within the justice tunnel that it's not commonly seen, you know, on the streets like that. So your ability to navigate all the various institutions and the various processes and come out with your rights, you know, not being breached.
Okay, your ability to navigate the justice system and come out with your right. But we discover that, or we see that the Constitution, or like we know, the Constitution guarantees fair and speedy dispensation of justice. But what factors are really responsible for some of these delays?
So a lot of factors, you know, from entry point through, because the criminal justice is a process. Apart from the fact that it's a system, it's also a process. So when you look at it as a process, you're looking at, like my chairman said, a network of institutions that work together to ensure that there's justice at the end of the day. And you're also looking at the process of justice. So you see, within this process, let's say, for example, from the commission of crime to arrest, investigation, you know, probably prosecution, custody, and all these things, you find a lot of issues there. One of the major issues is delay. And when you bring the microscope close to the subject of delay, you find a lot of factors there. For instance, the most common factor is the fact that judges take their hearings longhand. You know, you can imagine that a judge has maybe 15 cases or 12 cases to hear in a day, and he's recording every witness longhand, you know. By the time it's halfway, the witnesses are tired, the judge is tired himself, and he still goes back to his rulings and all that. You also find the issues of arrangement of records. You know, there are no purpose-built record centers for a record, so you find a heap of files, you know. Sometimes to trace a file may take weeks or even months to trace a file. You know, so that goes to add up to the detention period of an inmate who is in custody. You also find issues of coordination between these agencies, because these agencies are arranged in, or they operate in an output-input basis. For instance, now, the output of the police, which is investigation, you know, and all that, is necessarily the input of the courts. And then the output of the court is necessarily the input of the custodial centers. So if there's no coordination among these agencies, you discover that there will be a lot of delay, you know, because the police might be done, but there is no platform for coordination, you know, to transmit or to interact with the next necessary agency. So you see that there are a lot of lapses here and there. And when you go to custodial center, for instance, sometimes reasons for adjournments come from that end. And let me give you a few examples which I mentioned the last time we were here. For instance, when the weather is not good, when it's very cold, or when it's raining heavily, inmates don't come to court, and that is automatically an adjournment, which goes to add up to the detention period. And or when there's insecurity issues, or some other issues like that, you discover that there are adjournments, and then the court cannot sit. So all these are the issues that constitute delay. And when you look at the other end again, that makes the process of justice very costly again.
All right. So, Barrister Aware, she spoke about the fact that some of these factors she mentioned, I think, should be issues that have to do with manual processes of some of these things. We're in a technological era. So, don't you think technology has a greater role to play in this?
Yeah, technology has a very critical role to play in the quick dispensation of justice. Mrs. Daze has lent her voice to that, and she has also informed us about this networking. And she has also pointed out some of the reasons. Now, in other climes, what I mean by other climes is other countries where we have criminal justice, just like we have here in Nigeria, you will find out that they have gone advanced with the technology of hearing matters. What that means is that the judges do not have to write longhand. The judges will listen, but whatever any witness says or whatever a lawyer says in presenting the case of his client is recorded. And at the conclusion of hearing for that day, anyone that needs the record applies, and he gets it that very day. Okay. So there is no delay. So, and then the factors that she has also mentioned, you know, if you look at the citing of the High Court and the citing of the Correctional Service, all of these were done not just for the sake of doing, but they were done with the perspective of quick dispensation of justice. Even if it means walking from the Correctional Service Center down to the court, it will be easy. But there are factors that have come in. So they have introduced a technology. PPDC have put a center inside the Correctional Service so that if there is any reason, whether it is too cold or there is a problem why the inmate would not come to court physically, then this technology-based center that is there, the judge from his courtroom can have view of the inmate inside the court. I mean, inside the Correctional Service. So
I'll hold your thoughts here for now, then we'll open the phone lines to our viewers. And the line to call is 080-6842-1170. So viewers can make their contributions, can call to make their suggestions, and also if they have questions or point of clarification, our guests are here to do justice to that. So the phone number to call again is 080-6842-1170, and it's right there on your screen. So back to you, Barrister Daze. You are, as a Center for Public and Private Development, what is your role at improving technology in practical terms?
So our role is, one, to ensure that there's efficiency especially in criminal justice dispensation. And when we talk about efficiency, we are looking at it from the perspective of speed, accountability, and transparency in the justice process. So like bringing in virtual hearing facilities is to ensure speed. But there are other things that we have done to put in place measures of accountability within the system. For instance, now, we have set up a record, Central Criminal Record Center. What that does is that it collates all the active files within the High Court of Justice. Now, if I say the active files, I mean ongoing cases. You know, they are semi-active files. Those are files that probably judgment have been given, but they are waiting. They are still within the appeal period. Then there are inactive files, those ones that have already been appealed. You know, they are closed files already. So this case management unit captures all the active files within the High Court and then digitize them. The essence of that is to strengthen the oversight functions of the principal officers of the judiciary, the chief judge, the chief registrar, and then the registrar in charge of litigation. Now, with a click, they are able to assess the positions of cases. They are able to see whether a case has lingered on a particular desk for too long. For instance, when a judge has assigned a case and the physical file has not been moved to the courtroom, then there is a trigger that shows the judge after a certain number of days that this file is supposed to be out of this place. You know, so that strengthens the oversight function. It removes reliance on memory. You know, sometimes there's a lot of work, or sometimes people's attitude to work, they don't just, you know, pay attention and all that, but that strengthens that oversight function of the principal officers. Okay. I think that will go a long way.
So, Barrister Aware, we, apart from the courts, we know that the prison is another institution for a system of justice. But some of the time we find out that the prisons are congested with inmates awaiting trials, awaiting all of those processes. And you find out that some of these things are due to the delay in maybe presenting them to the courtrooms. What actually is the challenge?
Yeah, I was actually going to make that point before we call for the phone calls. Now, the issue is this. What the PPDC has done, which is quite commendable in this state, is that they have introduced virtual hearing. This virtual hearing means the inmate could be in the prison or in the correctional service center, or custodial center rather. And then the prosecutor could be in his office in the Ministry of Justice or even in the police headquarters, depending on who is prosecuted. The lawyer could also be in his own office, and the judge as well in the courtroom. And there is an interconnectivity as a result of the technology introduced by PPDC, which is the virtual hearing. And so the witness could be with the prosecutor, the lawyer in his office, and the defendant right in the custodial center. And then, you know, they will connect.
We have a call coming in, so let's pick the call. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you are on to Lighthouse Chat. Can you introduce yourself and go on with your question?
Of the discussion.
Okay. Can you tell us where your name and where you're calling from?
I didn't call you. You are the one that called me. I'm calling from Kaduna.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So you were saying, making a point.
Yes. So because of the virtual hearing, there will be no delay in presenting any matter. So all that that is needed to be done has, within a period, has been shortened. Instead of taking an adjournment on account of the reason of the non-availability of a vehicle, for instance, to convey the defendant from the correctional service center to the court, then, or the difficulty of a witness to come to court. The witness could even be in a different town. He could be out of Jos. So the issue of, oh, the witness is not in Jos, or he is not able to come to court, is obviated with. So these are the technology that have been put on ground now. But I want to say to the public to know, it is operational now in 2 courts. And then a magistrate court also has that technology. But thanks be to God, there is a commitment that we see from the Chief Judge of Plateau State, Honorable Justice David Gongman, to replicate that in all the high courts. Okay. And then we have also seen the commitment of the state government, which they have mentioned publicly, that they like to also partner with the judiciary to ensuring that the long history of judicial activities on the plateau are taken to a higher notch through this technological implementation in the state.
Do you think people really get justice these days?
I do think that people get justice. We have one of the best in the current situation. We are not yet there at the technological age. We are still trying to grow to get there. But in the system that we're operating now, I tell you that Plateau State is doing well. We have, let me say, judges whose work is quite commendable, comparable to any other judge anywhere. They are doing their best, and I think we need to commend them. Okay. Then we also have practicing lawyers who are also pushing very hard to ensure